Hello, and welcome to the second video in our tutorial series of IPG. Today we'll just be going over documentation and which documentation is the most important for beginners. So, first off, we'll show you where to get your documentation. Well, the easiest place to get it, and the most on hand, is once you have IPG, you go into CarMaker, as I have just done, and it opens up. You go to Help, and here are all the documents that you'll need. It's pretty easy to open them up. You can even things go into just a quick start guide. This is what I recommend for anyone to start off on, and this will just go over running example tests and loading predefined virtual vehicles, and then running a simulation, giving scenarios, and then creating your own personal test run. Also, how to use CarMaker with Simulink, which is important for later on. This is something that you will need for just to get started. In a later video we'll show you how to run IPG in a simulation, but this tutorial PDF could easily get you by, and it is not that hard to follow. Another important document is the user's guide. This is important because it's simple, and also it shows every single GUI and viewpoint that you would see in CarMaker. So it shows the maneuvers for a vehicle, and it shows the IPG driver. And again, I would recommend looking through this video and going to the next video, or just going back to the user's guide, so you can get a better idea of what a maneuver, what the tire model, what a simulation is. And again, the user model here shows a simulation, how to start your own. The quick start guide also has one, and it's best to maybe read both and decide what's best for you, following a step-by-step case basis. Okay, and here's your vehicle model. This is probably like the more important things. I can show you vehicle model here in CarMaker by going to parameters in car. We'll go over this in other tutorial videos, but I just want to show you. Here we are. This is the vehicle data set, and we can see here that it matches exactly what's here in the vehicle data set. So that's the user guide. Other documents can include that we recommend anyway, are the reference manual. Again, this is our for version 8.1.2, and some of the documentation is the same for 8.1.1. This goes into very specifics, like extremely specific, and it is good to know once you start programming with Simulink and Matlab, which leads us into the next document, which is the programmer's guide, and that's just here. Programmer's guide is also very complicated, and you won't even need half of it for your project probably, but I will like to direct you towards this section here on Simulink and Matlab. So CarMaker for Simulink basics, this is where you want to get started. It'll show you where to get started. It'll set up your CMen file, that's very important. You want to also look at then just how to create models via Simulink. So you would actually open Simulink up and then create a new CarMaker system via Simulink. And yeah, this is how you'll get started with Simulink. Read through this section here, CarMaker utilities for MATLAB, and the coder interface is a bit more complex, but it is also very helpful for later on. Okay. So that's all the documentation that we find is necessary and important for beginners. But it is good to note that there's all this other documentation as well. So, and there's also an installation guide, and also an IPG movie, which is the simulation and how to run that. This is more for just making it look pretty and how to edit it and things. It's not that important, but it's still good to know. So again, really important. I've already said this several times now, but please always look at the documentation. It's very accessible here in the help button, and yeah, it's very handy. And if you want to go into your license info here, this actually shows where your license data file is. It should always be here. Okay, going from there, I also wanted to show that there's a PDF that goes over this as well, a document. Very basic, it just shows the documents that we find are important. And we also found a FAQ online by IPG for learning resources and where to find them. And basically it shows what I've just shown you here, and it's just basically how to find and what to find, and goes into exactly what is important for IPG and what you need to get started. The next thing is also a FAQ webpage for more specific questions. You do need to log in for this, but it is handy if you have specific questions saying, yes, like reading current project in C, or replacing models from using CarMaker for Simulink. Honestly, this is something I would be interested in, and they give actually an answer for each of these questions. Honestly, this fact page can be very helpful, and all you have to do is maybe Google Simulink, and it should show you everything to do with Simulink in here. Yep, Simulink plugins, CarMaker to Simulink, Simulink plugins, and model. Yeah, so there's a lot of really helpful stuff in this FAQ. You'll find that in the PDF that I've attached with this video. Okay, now we're done with the documentation. We're going into some real-world parameters. Now we're done with the documentation. Let's go into real-world parameters that are specific to the controller that's used by Swimmer and FSE team. The Swimmer and FSE team use an AMK controller, and they have a specific data set for that. It should be used as a lookup table for your simulations in Simulink and IPG. Another thing that's really, really handy and that we found extremely useful was something that's provided by IPG, and we've prepared a copy for you guys, is two project file folders that we found that especially the Formula Student, which is specific to FSE projects and competition. And here's also the data sheet. So the main takeaway from this video are these PDFs, these documents. They are extremely important, and this document itself actually. They are extremely important to get started in IPG. The remaining tutorial videos are important, and they will help you a lot and get you started very quickly. However, these four documents, the Quick Start Guide, the Reference Manual, the User's Guide, and finally the Programmer's Guide, they will get you started in IPG quicker than anything else. And you need to read these, understand them, and again, in order, Quick Start Guide would be the first thing I would look at, then the User Guide to give the context to that Quick Start Guide. Looking at the Reference Manual a little bit whenever you find a variable or something you're not too sure about. And lastly, once you get into Simulink, looking at how to implement Simulink. It's in the Programmer's Guide. So the next thing we'll be doing is actually creating a project, running simulations, and opening up simulations that have been pre-made for us. Okay, hope that was helpful, guys, and have a good day. Thanks.